let's talk about the type of loans. So right now, as we speak, there's 4 types of loans that you're going to see people talking about and a lot of confusion about. There's going to be state-sponsored disaster economic relief loans. In Florida, for example, there's a loan up to $50,000 to anybody affected by this, interest-free for 1 year. And then it reverts back to 12% 5-year note, I believe is the mechanics of it, something like that. So every state is going to have, or might not have, a state-sponsored bridge loan, disaster relief loan. Then there's a traditional SBA 7A loan, which hasn't changed, so I'll talk about that briefly. Then there's a 7B loan, which is specifically the disaster relief loan, which is what most people are focused on right now. I'll talk about that in detail. And the SBA Express loan. So Gusto, the payroll company, put out this spreadsheet, which is amazing. Like really, like Gusto, man, hats off to you. You guys, this is amazing, right? So Gusto, the payroll company, put together a spreadsheet where it goes state by state. And I don't know where they get this information. And they wrote down and they update this. They're updating this every day for the last week. They've left out with every state, every department, what they're doing, what they have funded, what programs they have available, for this disaster relief. And if you go to like whatever state it is, right? So let me go to Florida here for a second, because that's my state. So there's the Department of Economic Opportunity explains here what they have, the dates, the program, and what it is, and you click on the link and it takes you straight to the website where you can apply for the loan, or you can download the application for the loan. So in Florida specifically, I'll walk you through this one real quick. You can get, if the business was established before March 9th, and there's a couple of details here, and individuals that own at least 51% have to be part of the loan document. And it tells here that it's all, case by case basis. And it just basically walks you through what it is. And every state will have its own program. Like in this one, it tells you exactly what the closing document will look like. And I've actually put together a package for my clients of all the documents that the state needs for the loans, for Florida specifically, and the SBA. So I'll give you a link to that soon. Well, it's actually on the slides. So then there's the SBA 7A loan. That has not changed. So if you're applying for an SBA 7A loan, has nothing to do with COVID-19. It has nothing to do with economic relief, right? They are government guaranteed. There has been some influx of cash. I think it was like $50 billion was added, so they can guarantee more loans. But all these applications go through the banks, and it goes through a standard underwriting procedure, and they will take collateral of your house if they need to. I mean, it's a standard 7A SBA loan, and it's typically used to grow or expand your business. So you have to have a growth or expansion reason to do that. Nothing to do with helping you survive these 2 different things. Let me show you the loan application for Florida real quick, just to kind of give you an idea what that looks like. So here's your loan application. You have to write a statement. Like, this is really important. You have to write a statement of how this disaster has helped you. $50,000 is the maximum you can request for the most part. They got some special cases for more than $50,000. And then you got just a regular loan document with some, with the requirements. It talks about interest-free for a year, and then it goes back to a 12% loan if you don't pay it back within the year. It tells you all the documents that you need. Look right here. Okay, I assume all the loans are going to be the same, right? This is going to need year-end financial statements for the last 2 years, interim financial statements, a monthly sales figure, explanation of credit reports. I'll talk about that in a second, because I have some tips for applying for an SBA loan, because I've done a couple of applications for some of my clients already. So let's talk about the SBA Disaster Loan. So right now, what I see is up to $25,000 will be an unsecured loan. That means they won't take collateral. If the business owner has collateral, they will probably secure the collateral and also require people to put a personal guarantee just like a regular loan, but the underwriting criteria will be a little bit loose, and there will basically a bit more understanding towards business interruption. Generally, in any loans, okay, in any loans, if you can't prove that you can pay it back, you can't get the loan. That's just not going to happen. So its interest rate is going to be 3.75, right? So it's not going to be interest free like the like some of the state sponsor ones. It looks like the terms are going to be case by case, but the law allows it to extend up to 30 years. It cannot be used to refinance long-term debt. So it's to finance current operations. According to the SBA website, the application deadline is December 21st, 2020, but the website crashed 2 days ago because of the amount of loan applications. So I wouldn't wait another day. Go straight and apply for your loan. And it needs to be used, so you need to explain that it's being used to pay payroll. Most important thing, pay payroll, because what the government's trying to do is trying to avoid unemployment claims, pay rent, and keeping the operations working. Now, there's a really cool fact sheet. The link is right there. Really cool fact sheet. I'll show it to you real quick. It's really neat, and there's going to be a state-by-state fact sheets, but they're all pretty much about the same. And if you click on the fact sheets, it kind of tells you what exactly is that the government's doing, how does it work. Everything that I talked to you about, I got it straight from the fact sheet. So definitely visit the SBA website to get some of the fact sheets and some of the resources. And here's another one, which is really cool, that talks about what are the credit requirements, what's the amount, the interest rate, loan terms. So now I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm seeing some things officially in writing from the government. So I like that, because at the beginning it was all pretty much speculation. And it looks like nonprofits can get even a lower interest rate. Now, if you click on this link here, bit.ly loan package 032620. If you click on that link, I'm going to show you something that I have here. So I put together, let me show you what that looks like. Because I had so many clients email me and ask me how to apply for a loan, that it was just easier for me to just put together the package. So there's going to be a SBA package. There'll be a couple of files here. I basically have a Word document that's like my checklist. So I read the government's checklist, and I did a much cleaner version of the checklist in Word, which you can use to copy and paste this into an email. So if you are in the business of helping your clients get this, you can just take, oh, look, it looks like the government is asking for this. So you can proactively email your clients, letting them know by all, this is supposed to be owners, 25% or more. Okay, so here's all the documents. I have to sign the loan application by all owners, 25% or more, last 2 years of tax returns, payroll forms, individuals, tax returns, W-2, 1099s, proof of income. There's a couple of more forms. I'm going to show you what the forms look like. So we have Form 413. It's in the package, which is a personal financial statement. And I'm suspecting that a lot of people are going to need help for this. Most people are not financially savvy to be able to sit down and understand what these applications are. So I think that a lot of small business owners are going to need accountants for this. As I said earlier, this SBA loan and this tax credit changes is going to be welfare for accountants. So accountants are going to have a lot of work helping people do this. Now, I don't know about the law, whether you're allowed to charge for helping people fill out an application. I don't fill out applications for anyone. Like I will give you the information that you need. You fill out the application, because that way I avoid whatever mechanics and laws are there around, being able to fill out an application on somebody's behalf. I have no idea whether it's legal or not to do it. So I don't care. I will give you the figures that you need. I'll pull them out of QuickBooks, whatever. But there's an interesting one, which is, I've never seen this before. I used to work for a bank, and I used to do a lot of SBA loans, which is called a monthly sales figure, where you literally have to give 3 years worth of monthly sales and the current expected or projected change of sales. And they're going to use this to determine if you need the loan or not. So if you have a business that for 3 years consistently has shown that during the summer or whatever, spring and summer, when you're being affected by this, you've had X amount of sales, and then you're projecting that they're going to go down. And then most importantly, you're projecting that after the summer, again, this is a 2-month thing, it's going to come back and you have the ability to pay again. Then they're going to determine that you can pay for this. Then they're going to ask you to do a forecast on that same form 1368. You have to do a forecast, and it's important that at the end you forecast a profit. Even though it's a reduced profit, it's a forecast, guys. You can put whatever you want. You need to forecast a profit. If you forecast your business to be losing money even after this debacle, you're probably not going to get the loan. So you need to be savvy enough to be able to forecast a profit. And then there's a form 2202, which is a business debt schedule. This is a really important one where you have to write down all the vendors that you owe money to, all the banks, institutions that you owe money to, when the payments are due, if you're current, if you're delinquent, the maturity dates, the monthly, and how it's being secured. In my opinion, I recommend that you do this exercise for the business and for the owners too. A lot of people don't even know what they owe. They just make payments and they just have no clue what they owe. Now, one thing, this is a discussion sparked in Facebook. They were saying that people cannot charge to do these loan packages. I don't think this is true, because if you actually look at form, what form is it? They pull it up here. If you look at this form, which is one of the forms that has to include it in the package, the form itself says that if you are charging $2,500 or more in association with putting the loan together, you have to disclose the invoice. So I don't see anywhere that says that you're not allowed to put together the loan. Honestly, this concept that is illegal to charge to help somebody to put the loan, honestly, I don't understand. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I have no clue. And don't count on my advice on this one. I don't know. I check with your local government and find out if it's legal to charge to help together, put a loan together. As an accountant, I can give people the data from QuickBooks and my accounting process so they can fill out the application. So at least I'm safeguarded that way. Now, remember, even though it's a disaster relief loan, even though this is meant to help people, even though all that, they're still going to look at credit history. And SBA has their own minimum credit scores and their own minimum guidelines. I assume that if you had a bankruptcy, it might be very difficult for you to get the cash. You do have to show the ability to repay the loan, even though there's going to be some portions of it possibly forgiven by the government. You have to be able to repay the loan. If the loan is over $25,000, the SBA could take your home as collateral. Bottom line, like don't think this is free money with no encumbrance. Okay, if you have assets, they might require you to do this, right? But this is very, very different than a regular SBA loan because, again, the guidelines might be a little loose. Now, in the bill, there's specific language that call it Paycheck Protection Loan. So you can see what the intention is here. If the loan is used to pay your payroll, full payroll, all the burdens of payroll, pay your rents and mortgage, pay your utilities, and essential costs to maintain your business operational, there will be a mechanic somehow. It looks like there'll be a mechanic to apply to get the loan debt forgiven. It's not automatically. I don't think it's automatically, but there will be a mechanic to do that. So right now, accountants are extremely valuable because accountants need to now create a report or keep records of a report comparing the 8 weeks from the moment you get the loan from the moment you get the loan through the end of the 8 weeks. Compare that year over year, and you need to be able to prove that you maintain your payroll levels the same, that you didn't reduce payroll, that you didn't reduce the actual payroll wages, or you didn't reduce the number of people. So I think it's really important that accountants and bookkeepers are kept and engaged, especially if somebody gets a loan. And so a small business owner needs to think, if I get a loan, I should keep my accountant, so they can help me put this information together, because otherwise I might not be able to get loan forgiveness. So right now, accountants and bookkeepers are extremely valuable, all-time high in value, in my opinion. Now, tips for loan preparation. So, a couple of my personal tips, and I got to tell you, this comes from being a banker. I used to be in banking before this. I used to be in Wells Fargo, and I used to be a small business banker. So I put together all sorts of business loans. Before you put a loan application, SBA or otherwise, every owner of the business should pull a free credit report. Go to Equifax, go to TransUnion, Experian, pull up a free version of the credit report, and make sure that you understand, especially if your score is under 700, that you understand that they're going to be looking at that. They're going to be asking questions about that. So you better have an explanation about any issues in your credit. Also, you want to look at all the debts that are posted in the credit report, because I run into a lot of issues where the small business owner took out, let's say, 2 vehicle loans for the business. And the debt is showing as a personal debt in their personal credit report. And then they're duplicating the debt because it's also sitting on the financial statements of the business balance sheet. So if you don't proactively explain, by the way, these 2 loans in my credit report, they're already listed in my business debt schedule. They're already listed in my balance sheet. They might count it double when they're underwriting, and that could be the difference between getting approved or not. So really, really important, pull up that credit report, learn how to read it, and when you put together those business debt schedule, put that together immediately. Also, again, make sure you have the narrative put together in terms of the credit and those liabilities that cross both. Okay, so if you download the slides and you click on the bit.ly link for the loan package, all those documents that I mentioned earlier are gonna be there. So as I mentioned earlier, I think you should, regardless of the type of loan that you're putting together, and this is my suggestion as an ex-banker, regardless of the type of loan that you're putting together, regardless, I think that you should be proactively filling out a personal financial statement for all owners using SBA Form 413. I showed that earlier. You should do a business debt schedule for the business, Form 2202. You should be doing monthly sales figures, 3 years historic, current year, an estimated forecast for the rest. You should have the 4506Ts, which are the authorizations for the lending institution. Even the government, even the SBA needs to request copies of your tax return, so you need that. Have copies of all the extensions if you filed extensions for 2019. Always have your books completed up to last month prior to the loan application. As an accountant, as a bookkeeper, I think regardless, that's good practice anyway. But I think that if you're going to do a loan, you should have your books up to date. You should draft a loan narrative. Also, always explain, this is what I'll be using the funds for. This is how the funds will help me stay in business. This is how it will help me keep employees or staff. Most importantly, the narrative that I'm keeping my employees on staff is really important. I think you should always draft financial projections. Show that post-interruption, you can repay the loan. That's an extremely important one. There's also another loan called the SBA Express Bridge Loan, which is going to be via lender. So you can go to the SBA website, you can click on the information about the SBA Express Loan, and the lenders it will be a regular loan. It doesn't have any debt pardoning or anything like that. It will be up to $25,000. It will be fast funding, fast underwriting, and the SBA is authorized to roll that one into a full disaster relief loan, which is going to be a little bit longer to underwrite. So if you need really fast cash ASAP and you have good credit, like you basically have good relationship with a lender, good credit history, I recommend to immediately look at the SBA Express Bridge Loan or a state-sponsored bridge loan first as you start the SBA 7B disaster relief loan process. There are 2 organizations that help with financial literacy and loan preparations. If you know anyone that can't afford an accountant, a professional, can't afford professional help in putting these things together, they can contact America's SBDC. There's one established for every state, almost one for every municipality. There's SCORE, and these are all people that volunteer to help people get loans, get funding. So look into those. I think those are worth looking at.